Right, so picture this. You're sitting in the House of Commons, minding your own business, probably contemplating whether the cafeteria's beef Wellington is actually made of beef, when suddenly Nigel Farage stands up and absolutely eviscerates the Prime Minister on live television. I am talking scorched earth, no survivors, the political equivalent of watching someone's entire career flash before their eyes in real time. Keir Starmer probably needed a lie down after this one, and honestly, so did I. But here is the thing, this was not just your standard parliamentary spat. Oh no, this was a masterclass in political theatre that had everyone from Westminster to your nan's living room absolutely riveted. Now, if you are enjoying this absolute carnage and want to stay updated on all the political drama that makes British politics look like a particularly aggressive episode of EastEnders, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell. Trust me, you do not want to miss what happens next in this circus we call Westminster. So let us set the scene, shall we? Prime Minister's Questions, the gladiatorial arena of British politics, where reputations go to die and soundbites go to live forever on Twitter. Keir Starmer, our beloved Prime Minister, fresh from whatever focus group told him smiling occasionally might help his approval ratings, steps up to the dispatch box. He's probably feeling quite confident, thinking he's got his talking points sorted, his rebuttals rehearsed, his hair perfectly coiffed in that I'm a serious statesman but also approachable kind of way. Then Nigel Farage, the man who's made a career out of being the thorn in everyone's side, stands up, and you can practically see Starmer's internal monologue go from "I've got this" to "Oh dear God, not him again" in about 3 seconds flat. Now, Farage opens with something absolutely brilliant. He doesn't ease into it, no gentle warm-up, no polite preamble. He goes straight for the jugular, asking Starmer about his government's economic policies, specifically the ones that have seen British families struggling to afford basic necessities, while the government throws money at projects that seem to benefit everyone except, actual British people. The way Farage phrases it is absolutely devastating. He's not shouting, he's not ranting, he's just calmly, methodically laying out facts like he's reading someone's autopsy report. And Starmer? Well, Starmer does what Starmer does best. He waffles, he deflects, he throws out statistics that sound impressive until you realise they're either outdated or completely irrelevant to the question asked. But here's where it gets really good, right? Because Farage is not having any of it. When Starmer tries to pivot to blaming the previous government, a tactic so overused it should come with its own bingo card at this point, Farage actually laughs. Not a polite chuckle, mind you, but a proper belly laugh that echoes through the chamber like he's just heard the funniest joke of his life. Then he absolutely demolishes this defence by pointing out that Starmer has been in power long enough that the "it's not my fault, it's theirs" excuse has well and truly expired. It's like watching someone try to return a jumper to Marks and Spencer 3 years after buying it and acting shocked when they're told no. The immigration question comes up next, and oh boy does this get spicy. Farage, who has built an entire political career on this single issue like it's his personal Jenga tower, asks Starmer about the numbers. The actual, verifiable, cannot spin your way out of these numbers. And Starmer, bless him, tries to dance around it like he's auditioning for Strictly Come Dancing. He talks about processing times, about humanitarian obligations, about international cooperation, about everything except the actual answer to the question. It's masterful in its evasiveness, really. If Olympic medals were awarded for avoiding direct answers, Starmer would have a gold medal in a sponsorship deal with a major sportswear brand by now. But Farage is relentless. He comes back with a follow-up that's so perfectly timed, so precisely aimed, that you can actually hear the collective intake of breath from the Labour benches. He references specific cases, specific numbers, specific promises that Starmer made during the campaign that have turned out to be, shall we say, somewhat economical with the truth. And the beauty of it is that Farage delivers all of this with that characteristic smirk of his, the one that says, I know that you know you're talking absolute nonsense, and I'm going to enjoy every second of making you squirm. Now, let's talk about Starmer's defence strategy, because calling it a strategy is being remarkably generous. It's more like watching someone try to put out a fire with petrol while insisting they're actually using water. He attempts to turn the tables by bringing up Reform UK's own policies, trying to paint Farage as someone who criticises but offers no solutions. And this is where Farage absolutely shines, because instead of getting defensive, instead of getting rattled, he just calmly proceeds to outline exactly what Reform UK would do differently, point by point, policy by policy, with a kind of clarity that makes you wonder why the major parties can't seem to manage the same thing. The economy takes centre stage again, and Farage brings up something absolutely devastating, the cost of living crisis, not the abstract, theoretical version that politicians love to discuss in think tanks, but the real, tangible version that has people choosing between heating and eating. He mentions specific constituents, real stories from real people, and suddenly this isn't just political point scoring anymore. This is about actual lives being affected by governmental incompetence. And Starmer's response? More statistics, more deflection, more "we've inherited a difficult situation." It's like watching someone try to bail out the Titanic with a teaspoon while insisting everything's under control. What makes this exchange particularly brutal is Farage's use of Starmer's own words against him. He quotes from Labour's manifesto, from Starmer's campaign speeches, from interviews the Prime Minister gave before the election, and then he contrasts these promises with the reality of what has actually happened. It's devastating because it's not opinion, it's not spin, it's just holding up a mirror and asking, does this look like what you promised? The answer, quite obviously, is a resounding no. Watching Starmer try to explain away these contradictions is like watching someone try to convince you that up is actually down, and they've always said it was down, you just weren't listening properly. The energy crisis gets brought into the mix, and this is where things get really uncomfortable for Starmer. Farage points out the government's energy policies, the ones that seem designed more to please international organisations than actually help British families who are seeing their energy bills skyrocket. He mentions the billions being spent on green initiatives while people can't afford to heat their homes in winter. Now, before anyone accuses me of being anti-environment, that's not the point. The point Farage is making is about priorities, about a government that seems more concerned with looking good on the international stage than actually taking care of its own citizens. And then comes the knockout blow. Farage brings up the NHS, that sacred cow of British politics that everyone claims to love, but nobody seems to be able to fix. He asks Starmer about waiting times, about staff shortages, about the crisis in emergency care. And Starmer, to his credit, actually looks pained. Because this is one issue where you can't just throw statistics around and hope people forget their own experiences. Everyone knows someone who's waited hours in accident and emergency. Everyone has heard horror stories about ambulances taking forever to arrive. Everyone has been affected by this crisis in some way. When Farage starts listing the failures, the broken promises, the continued deterioration of services under Labour's watch, you can see Starmer visibly deflating like a sad balloon at a child's birthday party 3 days after the event. Throughout all of this, what's absolutely fascinating is watching the reactions of the other MPs. The Conservative benches are loving every second of it, obviously, because watching Labour squirm is their favourite pastime. But even some Labour MPs look uncomfortable, shifting in their seats, avoiding eye contact, probably wishing they were literally anywhere else. The Liberal Democrats are trying to look neutral, but you can see the smirks. Even the SNP members, who normally save their energy for fighting everyone simultaneously, seemed entertained by the spectacle. Now, Farage pivots to foreign policy, and this is where things get really interesting. He questions the government's priorities, asking why British taxpayers are funding various international initiatives while domestic services crumble. It's a fair question, actually, and one that resonates with a lot of people who wonder why their bins aren't being collected on time, but there's always seems to be money for international commitments. Starmer tries to explain the importance of Britain's role on the world stage, but Farage counters with the simple observation that charity begins at home, and right now, home looks pretty rough. The exchange continues with Farage bringing up crime rates, specifically in major cities, and the government's seeming inability to address the issue effectively. He mentions specific incidents, specific areas where people no longer feel safe, and asks exactly what the government is doing about it. Starmer's response is more of the same: promises of initiatives, talk of community policing, vague assurances that things are being taken seriously. But Farage doesn't let him off that easily, pointing out that these are the same promises we've heard for years, and yet the problem keeps getting worse.
What makes this entire demolition so effective is Farage never loses his composure. He's not screaming, he's not theatrical, he's just methodically, calmly, systematically tearing apart every argument Starmer makes. It's like watching a master craftsman at work, if that craftsman's job was destroying political careers. Every response from Starmer just gives Farage more ammunition, more opportunities to point out contradictions, more chances to make out the gap between promise and reality. As the exchange draws to a close, you can see that Starmer is rattled. His responses are getting shorter, more defensive, less confident. The man who walked in probably thinking this would be just another routine Prime Minister's questions is walking out having been thoroughly, comprehensively and very publicly dismantled. And the worst part for him is that it's all on record, all available for anyone to watch, all ready to be clipped and shared across social media for the next week. The aftermath of this exchange is probably still reverberating through Westminster. Labour spin doctors are working overtime trying to find ways to frame this that don't make their boss look completely out of his depth. Conservative media is having an absolute field day because, let's honest, watching Labour get taken apart never gets old for them, and Reform UK supporters are probably feeling pretty vindicated